Okay. Hello, friends. Judy Prager and I would like to welcome all of you to a very special evening celebrating Cantor Kessler's 28 years of service and honoring her on her upcoming retirement. This evening has been an absolute labor of love for both of us and for the many others who have given their time and talents to make it memorable for all of us. You'll note many generous donors who are listed in the program, but we wish to call out two in particular, our lead sponsors for the evening. Our sincere thanks to the entire Marcus family, and to the Jowdy family, represented tonight by Dan Jowdy. You are indeed a blessing. Please take special note of everyone who made additional donations to make this evening special. We're fortunate tonight in having a master of ceremonies, and I'd like to call him up now. Neil Marcus, would you please come to the podium?
I'm right behind you. Thank you. Thank you, Leslie. And I'll add my own welcomes to all of you and to invite you to fully participate in this evening's festivities. What a good-looking crowd. You guys clean up nicely. It's amazing. But you'll be able to follow the sequence of the activities in your program, and we'd like to call out a few things that will occur throughout the evening. So first of all, we're going to have a 50-50 raffle, and people will be circulating through the hall tonight selling you raffle tickets. I encourage you to buy more than you originally anticipated. It's a good idea. Yeah. And the drawing will occur right here at the end of the evening, so don't leave too early. We have the silent auction over in the corner there, which has about 20 items. They're in your program. We've got a bunch of different price points to try to appeal to everybody, because we hope that you'll stop by the tables, read about the items, and bid, and check if you're interested in bidding as the bids change during the evening. We have a video montage. There are 3 small tables situated around the room that are playing a video montage on a continuous loop. It's a continuous, a terrific display. It's set to music, and our thanks go to Jim Wilson. Some of you know him as Ethan Carey. And I'm convinced some of you must know him by another name, because he can't just go by 2 names. He must have a 3rd name, but we'll figure it out. He did a stellar job of compiling the pictures of Cantor Kessler at key UJC and family life cycle events during her tenure. And if there are any of them with me in it, please identify that, because I'd like to go look at them. The note cards. If you haven't yet written a personal message to Cantor Kessler, take a card from the center of your table and leave it in the note basket at the front of the room. These are being collected at each of our celebration events and will be presented to Cantor upon her retirement. Now, if you can't think of a personal message, then you have to go to an app on your cell phone. And there'll be a Cantor Kessler personal message app. So everybody can leave a personal message. Now, missing this evening, unfortunately, from our presentation, our ceremony, is our president, Bonnie Wunsch, who's had unfortunate family circumstances calling her out of town. And of course, our prayers are with her and her family. And thank you, Alan, for representing tonight. But Allison, is Allison here? Allison would like to say a few words on behalf of Bonnie. So if you'll welcome her, it's your mic.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Allison Story. I'm the first Vice President of the Board of Trustees, and I'm standing in for President Bonnie Wunsch, who, like Neil said, is out of town, unfortunately. And she truly wishes she could be here tonight to honor Cantor Kessler, and she sends her regards. So I'm going to read her thoughts in honor of tonight. Before thanking Penny, we must thank those who've worked hard these past few months to make all of our celebrations of Penny a reality and a success. There are too many names to mention, but thank you specifically to Judy Prager and Leslie Ryder, who both immediately said yes to overseeing the task of helping our congregation and community honor the service of Cantor Penny Kessler. To the numerous volunteers who stepped up to assist in making a true spring Penny Fest, thank you. Your time and dedication is appreciated, and I encourage you to come back for another round of volunteering in the coming months. Thank you also to our staff, Penny's partner in crime, Daryl Bain, our office manager, Suzanne Cluse, our building supervisor, Ricky Lopez, and who are always going above and beyond. Now to our honoree. Penny, we are forever in your debt to you for your years of dedication and commitment, not only to the UJC, but also to the greater Danbury community. You have been the face, the heart of our congregation during the time you've served as our solo clergy. You stepped in and took the helm at the most difficult time, when you became solo clergy in the spring of 2020. Who would have thought we would be dealing with a pandemic and Zoom for as long as we have? You've managed to become a Zoom expert, learn to pivot with the best of them, and keep our spirits high through innovative worship, entertaining programs, and educational opportunities. You've made sure we've stayed together as a congregational family. While these are your most recent accomplishments, there are so many more. We're proud of your leadership roles that you've held within your professional organization, the American Conference of Cantors, your commitment to social justice, your active role in the greater Danbury faith community, and your dedication to your hometown of Bethel. You've made an impact on all of us, but especially true when it comes to our children. Generations of UJC children have learned to be comfortable standing up on the bema, reading Torah, and attending services thanks to your caring teaching and gentle nudging. Your love of being part of our school and our kids' lives is something which we are eternally grateful. You've also been an incredible partner that I've been fortunate to work with as president 2 times. We've been through good times and bad. We've had trips together from San Diego to Minneapolis to Boston and Chicago. She and Bonnie, not me. All are filled with unique memories and lots of laughs. I know you've also served as president over the last 20 years. I know those who've also served as president over the last 20 years are as equally grateful to you for your guidance and leadership and friendship. We are all lucky that you will continue to be part of our family, and we look forward to your tenure as the UJC's first Cantor Emeritus, a well-earned title and honor. But even more well-earned is your actual retirement. You've worked hard, you've led with dignity, and you've made a difference. Enjoy the months and the years ahead, visiting children and family, traveling, finding new hobbies, and no doubt at becoming an ace on the pickleball court. On behalf of myself and the Board of Trustees, Toda Rabau, Yashakoa.
Thank you, Allison, and thank you, Bonnie, for those kind words. At this point, I'd like to call upon Cantor Lila Sugarman to deliver tonight's invocation. Cantor Lila joins us at the UJC as senior clergy on July 1. Now, this young Cantor is going to be senior clergy. That's hard for me to imagine. So I guess if she's not going to be senior clergy until July 1, is she junior clergy tonight? I'm not sure what you are. I've got to give you the right title here.
I'm grateful to be here. That's what I am.
We're grateful to have you. And if you haven't had the pleasure of meeting her, introduce yourself during the evening. It's well worth the introduction. Cantor, it's yours.
Erev Tov, I just wanted to say, he said, I don't know what to call you. And I said, well, you can call me. I'm grateful to be here. So, Nagila v'nismacha ba. May we sing out and rejoice in celebration of Cantor Kessler and her long and profound service to the UJC and the Jewish people. May you continue to go from strength to strength. May you breathe in all the love that is here for you this evening, and know the Shalshelet HaKabbalah, the chain of tradition, is strong because of you. Mikor kol hachayim, O source of life, we give thanks for bringing us to this moment and all that happened to bring us to this moment and all that is yet to come. So let's join together in the blessing for bringing us to this moment, the Shehachianu. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Shehachianu, v'kiyamanu, v'higianu lazman hazeh. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Cantor. We're honored this evening in calling up Dr. Jay Titman to perform a motzi. Jay recently celebrated his 100th birthday, which is hard to imagine. Jay, you don't look a day over 99. Seriously.
Participating like this would be the last thing in the world my college classmates would ever have.
It's a mess. But I got to say a word about Jay.
You go ahead.
Jay arrived in Danbury just shortly after I was born. I have actually known Jay my entire life. I can't remember a time that I didn't know the whole Titman family. And it's just a joy. He is amongst the remaining group of that generation which my parents were members of, who did so much for this community and for the synagogue that it is only fitting to have you here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. My college classmates would be shocked to finding me making a motzi in public like this. But it's an honor, and I'm very happy to do it at such a wonderful occasion honoring Penny. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. See, you can tell how often I do it. Amen. You have to give it one slice.
And this is a special challah made by Miles Burrell with love.
Who made it?
Miles.
Oh.
Yes, but Lisi isn't as good as mine.
Well, some lucky person tonight will be able to find the answer.
Thank you. Penny, it's going to be a tough decision. It's going to be a really tough decision.
You'll be careful, I said I'm planning on zoning in Bethel.
So recognized. We're happy to recognize several town and state officials this evening who are sharing proclamations and citations in recognition of Cantor Kessler's service and retirement. I was going to say first I'd like to welcome and call up Danbury Mayor Dean Esposito, but unfortunately, some of you may have seen Dean was here. He made his rounds, but he had a conflict, and he left us with a proclamation. And what I've got to find is the mayor's, oh, here it is, City of Danbury. Thank you. So Dean asked if I would share this with you on his behalf. And be it hereby known to all that the mayor and the citizens of the city of Danbury honor Cantor Penny Kessler upon her retirement. Whereas Cantor Penny Kessler became a member of the United Jewish Center with her husband, Dr. Stanley Kessler, a dentist, and her 3 children in mid-1980s. Nearly a decade later, she was hired to be the cantor of the synagogue. She has been at the UJC since 1995, and in 2020, just as the pandemic was bursting open, she became the sole senior spiritual leader and Zoom expert. That was a very critical time to get and keep members engaged and involved. And whereas Penny raised her daughter and twin sons in Bethel and has been involved with both Bethel and Danbury, she currently sits on Bethel's Planning and Zoning Commission and is also involved in Danbury in the Association of Religious Communities and Human Rights in Civic Causes. And whereas, as a cantor, Penny has been intimately involved in hundreds of life cycle events, from baby namings, b'nai mitzvah, celebrations, weddings, and funerals. She is a big opera buff, loves the Mets, and is a great cook and terrific challah baker. She is, there's one for Penny, not for Miles. She is a beloved teacher and choir director and never says no to any requests. She and Stan are looking forward to leisurely mornings, visits up and down the Northeast Corridor to visit adult children, and new travel adventures. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Dean Esposito, as mayor of the city of Danbury, issue this proclamation to commemorate Cantor Penny Kessler upon her retirement. Thank you for your dedication to the United Jewish Center in the entire greater Danbury community. Congratulations. Signed this 20th day of May, 2023 in City Hall, Danbury, Connecticut, Dean Esposito, Mayor. Now, it's my pleasure to call upon State Senator Julie Kushner to read the next proclamation. And I know she's here because I saw her walk in, and I got a comment while she's on her way up here. Nobody escapes tonight. That I've been reading the Danbury paper, and I want to know, is there anybody else in Hartford doing any work other than you? Or do you just have that good a press secretary?
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I asked Farley Santos, State Representative, to join me in making this presentation tonight. But I have a couple of words I want to share first. Unfortunately, I can't see Penny, and I know you're back there. There you are. Like some of you in the room, I know especially some at my table, I had the privilege and the pleasure of first getting to know Penny at one of the scariest moments of my life, when my daughter was bat mitzvahed at UJC. And I was so scared the whole time she wouldn't get through her Haftorah. And it was really frightening, and Penny was there all through it, being such a great friend and such a great spiritual leader. So I know that the Reefbergs were in that famous class. There was a Marcus kid, Lisi's kid was in that famous class, a wild, wild class of kids. I don't know how you did it, Penny, but they all came through, and they all have turned out to be wonderful human beings. So my greatest thanks to you go for your role in my daughter making bat mitzvah without completely screwing it up. So thank you so much. And she had the worst parsha, too. It was shoftim, you know. It was like when you said the name of God in vain, you were stoned to death. And she kept trying to say to me, how do I make this relevant to today? It was not easy. But I've gotten to know Penny much more closely in recent years through her activism in our community. And so it is really a great honor for myself and for State Representative Farley Santos to recognize you not just as the spiritual leader here, but for all you do for our community. So we really appreciate it. So come on up. I know that is not true. So this reads from the state of Connecticut General Assembly official citation introduced by Senator Julie Kushner, Raheb Ali Brennan, Patrick Callahan, Rachel Chalesky, Bob Godfrey, and Representative Farley Santos. Be it hereby known to all, the Connecticut General Assembly offers its sincerest congratulations to Cantor Penny Kessler. In recognition of your many years of dedicated service to the United Jewish Center and our community, we thank you for your spiritual leadership, social justice advocacy, and for always offering a helping hand to those in need. You have been a rock in the greater Danbury area for the Jewish community and beyond. We join the UJC and your friends and family in celebrating this momentous occasion. Usually it says congratulations, and we usually translate that. So I guess tonight we'll say Mazel Tov. And the entire membership extends its very best wishes on this memorable occasion, expresses the hope for continued success, given this the 21st day of May, 2023, and it's signed by the President of the Senate, Martin Looney, Speaker of the House, Matt Ritter, and Secretary of the State. official unless it's on Facebook.
Don't run away. Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Farley. By the way, I have to introduce you to Leslie, who wrote the program, because she didn't put you on here, but we're glad to have you here. Don't run away. There's another proclamation, and that comes from Dan Carter, the first selectman of the town of Bethel, who unfortunately couldn't attend this evening. Obviously, you know that Stan and Penny and the family are Bethelites, and they've been there for many, many years. Rumor has it she's on the Planning and Zoning Commission. That's just a rumor, right?
It's
That's
just
the
a
real thing.
rumor.
You know what? I got to thank you for your retirement here. It gives you more time to devote to planning and zoning. Personally, on behalf of the Danbury Bar, I'd also like to thank you. But this is a proclamation from the town of Bethel in honor of Cantor Penny Kessler. Whereas Penny Kessler is retiring from the United Jewish Center as Cantor for 28 years and the spiritual leader since 2020. And whereas Penny Kessler and her husband, Dr. Stanley Kessler, DDS, have lived in Bethel for 38 years and have 3 adult children, Alana, Warren, and spouse Stephanie and Harrison. And whereas Cantor Penny Kessler was ordained as a cantor in 1993 from the Debbie Friedman School of Sacred Music at Hebrew Union College, Jewish Institute of Religion, and whereas Cantor Penny Kessler served as a cantor of Jewish Family Congregation in South Salem, New York from 1993 to 1995. In 1995, she became the first female cantor of the United Jewish Center in Danbury. And whereas Cantor Kessler volunteers as a commissioner on Bethel's Planning and Zoning Commission, participates in a variety of interfaith activities, and preserves holiday-themed programs at area-assisted living and nursing homes. Now, therefore, I, Daniel E. Carter, First Selectman of the town of Bethel, Connecticut, on behalf of the people of Bethel, do hereby congratulate and thank Cantor Penny Kessler on the occasion of her retirement, signed this 21st day of May 2023 at the Clifford J. Hergen Municipal Center, Bethel, Connecticut. Daniel E. Carter, First Selectman. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be back to you. Back to you. Okay. So at this point, I'm going to call on Judy and Leslie to share with you some letters sent by esteemed clergy who are sharing the occasion of this retirement dinner with us. Thank you.
So we're reading 2 from former clergy, but there are 4 others that were sent, which are on the wall over there that you can read from the Cantorial Association and URJ and Federation, I think they were. Sorry. Okay, so it says, Dear Penny, as one who stood next to you at the start of your time at UJC, I am honored and delighted to welcome you into a world of blessed retirement after an esteemed career. With your permission, let me repeat my remarks that I made at your installation service. I noted the term Hazan has 2 meanings. Conventionally, it refers to an overseer, the person in charge of the liturgy. This is an office and a function that requires knowledge and skill. You had just been invested as a cantor at HUC School of Sacred Music and therefore certified to carry out this role. I guess it wasn't called Debbie Friedman back then. My remarks were given in the fall. The second meaning, however, is that of a visionary, and its biblical employment at the beginning of the book of Isaiah. It especially pertains to the ability to bring God's presence before the people. My remarks were given then in the fall of '95 as a charge. May you be a leader who inspires those before you. We only overlapped that 1 year, and although I did get an opportunity to see you charm the congregation with your warm voice and organize a youth choir, which, if memory serves, it first consisted predominantly of the members of one family, my installation words were most pious hope. Now, 28 years later, it is quite clear that you have both fulfilled and embodied the title of Hazan in both senses of the word. Debbie and I extend our best wishes to you, Stan, and the family, and say Yasha Koach. May your strength be affirmed, and may you continue to go from strength to strength. Shalom, Paul Gollum.
here.
A letter of tribute to my dear friend Cantor Kessler on the occasion of her retirement. When I look back over the course of my career in the rabbinate, I will count among my most fortunate blessings the 7 years I served side by side with Cantor Kessler. Penny is not only a sweet singer of Israel, talented, creative, and energetic, but is blessed with a Gita Neshama, a kind and caring soul, compassionate and humble. Thinking back on our time together, I will always cherish the laughter, her wry sense of humor, which lifted the heart and lightened our burdens. I remember the outrageous Purim costumes we donned, the many Shabbatons we planned and led at Eisner Camp, and the Hanukkah celebrations we shared with the Kesslers in their home. Our children, and especially Ariel and Elena, shared a special bond. One particular Shabbat, which will live in infamy, was the bar mitzvah of Barnett Frank. During the course of a 3-hour service, it is not unreasonable to have to relieve oneself. What is not recommended, however, is leaving the lavalier mic on while doing so. I'll never forget Penny knocking on the bathroom door screaming, "What are you doing in there? We can all hear you." Since my departure from Danbury in 2003, Penny has served her congregation faithfully and loyally, steadfastly upholding the best virtues of Jewish leadership. So, Penny, on this auspicious occasion of your retirement, I extol you for your exemplary career, for toiling as Kalei Kodesh in the vineyards of the divine day after day, and for leaving your lasting imprint on a very fortunate congregation and beyond. May the Holy One continue to bless the work of your hands in all your future endeavors and bestow upon you good health and well-being for many long years. Brad Boxman, Rabbi, Parkland, Florida.
Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Leslie, and thank you to Paul and Brad for their kind words. At this point in the program, I get to call on our honoree, and I do it with some reservations because I was brought up in the United Jewish Center in the era of Jerome Molino. And if you would ever call Rabbi Molino to the podium to say something, you could expect dinner to be served around 9 o'clock. Because Jerome, who I learned a great deal from, Jerome always felt that there was nothing worthwhile saying unless you could say it for somewhere between 30 and 45 minutes, and you could time him on that. So I learned a lot from Jerome, in particular what I learned from Jerome about public speaking. So forgive me tonight if I'm not living up to his standard, but what I learned from Jerome was something I used to call either the Molino segue or the interfaiths of his speeches, because Jerome would start out talking about one subject, and he would end up talking about, in the middle, a different subject and quoting Shakespeare and the Talmud and the whatever from heart. And then he'd end up back where he started in this wonderful segue, and that has driven too many judges of the Superior Court nuts over the years, because I happened to pick up that habit, which I thought was wonderful. What I picked up from Penny, of course, was my singing ability. So later this evening, I will share with you that, but tonight I'm going to, at this point in the evening, I'm going to ask Penny to come up and say a few remarks.
So what Brad left out, at Barnett Frank's bar mitzvah, we were taking the Torah and we were about to put it away. And I was in front, Barnett would be right in back of me carrying the Torah in the Molino sanctuary. And we go off the bima and we go over to the left, And we make our way, and all of a sudden, every alarm in the synagogue went off. And I stood there frozen, and one of the congregants looked at me and said, "Get everybody out of here." So we all went out. Brad's habits became a topic of some conversation. And I went back in, and he looked at me and he said, "How bad is it?" And I said, "Water under the bridge." What a great day. So first of all, no, we are not moving. Especially not to Florida, or any place else for that matter. And no, I have no definite plans beyond enjoying James Taylor at Tanglewood on July 3rd with family, running for continuing my seat on Bethel's Planning and Zoning Commission, and volunteering all over the place if they'll have me. So after 28 years, 38, if you count the years since we joined the UJC as a family, I can truly say this has been a wild ride. So how is it that in 1978, a Jewish bride from Brooklyn would wind up in a very not Jewish area of Connecticut? Stanley wanted to practice dentistry in Connecticut because he had a friend up here. Besides, every dentist he ran into in Brooklyn said, "You don't want to practice in the city." So keep in mind, this was 1978. The Bronx was burning, and now none of us can afford to live there. I demanded only two things. We would live no more than 60 miles out of New York, based on a compass that we put, and we made a circle, because New York, of course, was the epicenter of the universe and my world. And I had to get Channel 13, WNET, on the TV. And apparently the only way I could get Channel 13 up here was with something called cable. So here I am, all 5 foot of me, working at a very conservative WASP company in Wilton, where the boss, God, I hope she's not here, a prime example of the Pareto principle, complained that I talked too much, I talked too loudly, and I talked over people. In other words, I was a Jew from Brooklyn. So apparently, talking over each other is considered a faux pas in hoity-toity Connecticut. Where I came from, it meant you were part of the conversation. So how did we wind up at the UJC? I have to start with my mother-in-law, of blessed memory, who absolutely could not understand how a town called Bethel did not have a synagogue. Bethel, Mom. She never figured it out. So it's 1978. We're driving through Danbury with no idea where we are. And we look to the left and we say, "Oh, look, a synagogue. Let's stop in." The secretary, Lois Wilson, of blessed memory, said she would introduce us to Rabbi Molino, of blessed memory, who then introduced us to Rabbi Levine, who suggested we look at what was then Hillcroft Apartments off Clapwood Ridge Road. To be honest, we didn't stay members because our Jewish lives still revolved around New York. In 1984, we decided that we needed to join a congregation because we wanted a rabbi to formally name our daughter, Elena, and we stayed. So did you hear the one? About the time the rabbi and the cantor went to your URJ biennial conference and left all of you in charge, and you wound up doing a really good job? Yeah, that was because of me. Until 1997, I was the first UJC cantor to attend a biennial conference. Before that, the UJC rabbis attended all Union for Reform Judaism gatherings, while the Cantor kept the home fires burning and watched the kids. Just kidding. No, I'm actually not. We assured everybody that one of us, probably me, would come back in case of an emergency, and we give you all of the information you needed to lead Shabbat services. You did us proud then, and you still do. When we had a local Jewish federation, there was a monthly rabbis meeting. I wedding crashed the group and showed up. A few years later, I was asked to chair the group, and we welcomed Jewish educators soon after. We had some wonderful discussions about politics, Judaism, education, and who knew that a cantor could think and sing at the same time? Now, walk, think, and sing, yeah, that just doesn't happen. Did you ever wonder why I signed my emails Cantor PK? Well, I had been told that the kids at Eisner Camp had taken to calling me CPK, or Cantor PK. So I became Cantor PK, and the name stuck. So getting a little serious here, I've worked really, really hard to have the UJC take stands on social justice issues. We marched in New York City for common sense gun control after Parkland. And against anti-Semitism. We marched against hate in Hartford and in support of reproductive rights in Danbury. We signed petitions and added our congregation's name to URJ-sponsored calls to action. We have staffed the overflow shelter in Danbury and made and served thousands of meals at the Dorothy Day Hospitality House. There is so much work to be done, and as Rabbi Hillel put it, if not now, when? The bottom line is that my experience in Danbury is proof of the saying from Woody Allen, the early one, not the more recent one, that 90% of success is just showing up. So I want to say thank you to all of my rabbi and cantor colleagues. We share wisdom, expertise, and music. I have been blessed to work with the best community organizers and clergy people. You are what make the Danbury area kind and compassionate places to live. Thank you to all the UJC rabbis, cantors, educators, custodians, office staff people, librarians, teachers, and volunteers who have made my work so fulfilling. To my beloved choir, and I know some of you are here, you are still the hardest working UJC committee. Please introduce Cantor Sugarman. Where are you? There you are. Cantor Sugarman, this is Robert Golenbach. And Robert Golenbach is going to introduce you to choir jokes. And for God's sake, be gentle. When she presents a piece of music that you really hate and don't want to learn, that's an inside joke. Thank you to Ricky and Suzanne. Things just don't get done without you. To the best coworker ever, Daryl, where are you? You are a rock star. You shepherd all the teachers and students, keep the religious school not only going but growing, and you provide the best supplemental religious teaching possible. You may not have noticed, But when the B'nai Mitzvah students are thanking people in their speeches, you're the one who gets most of the love. They say things like, "You always smile at me," or "You always tell me I'm going to do great. You are my confidant. Somehow you seem to know everything that's happening, and I cannot imagine where I would be without you." To all the UJC presidents and board members who I have had the privilege of knowing, you are the engine that keeps the UJC running smoothly. We haven't always agreed, and that's probably a good thing. But all of our discussions have been l'shem hashamayim, for the sake of heaven. You and every volunteer struggled tirelessly with me to survive the COVID shutdown. You trusted me, a Cantor, with the leadership of this congregation, and I will always be grateful that you took that risk. And as I retired and turned the reins over to yet another Cantor, you gifted me with the honor of becoming the first Cantor to receive an emerita contract. Cantor Lila Sugarman, I cannot imagine a better clergy person to take over the reins. May your tenure be joyful, meaningful, and full of blessings. May you and Ben find the same love and support that Stanley and I have found in this community. And finally, thank you to all my friends and family who have cheered me on through these years, periodically questioned my sanity, and assured me that I was doing the right thing most of the time. I am here sitting at a table with my machatanim and my sons and daughter-in-law and dear friends and my sister and brother-in-law. This is such a blessing. Elena, Warren, Stephanie, Harrison, and Michelle, you know that I've had a rough day when I send a text message that simply says, "I love you." You put up with a string of nannies, some loving and kind, some not so much. Being a CK, a Cantor's kid, can be hard sometimes, and you have come through all of this with flying colors. This has not been a rough day, but still, I love you. Stanley, I know you were a little nervous when I made the decision to study to be a Cantor. I remember the day in October when I made the announcement that I knew what I wanted to do with my life. We were driving around on a fall foliage trip. You were driving and commenting on the beautiful scenery, and I, as usual, was sleeping. When I announced, "I'm going to be a Cantor and it will take me a lot of years of going to school full-time in New York, and we may have to get a nanny to help us with the kids, and I may have to go to Israel for a year, and oh, look, a squirrel." You almost drove the car off the road. We were heading into very unknown territory. You sadly realized that Sundays were for teaching, Friday and Saturdays were Shabbat, and the weeks leading up to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur were stay out of the path of Hurricane Penny. You were patient and understanding when my limited participation suddenly became, "Sure, I'm available, and I need to go to the hospital to visit a congregant, and I'm covering for the rabbi." When stresses got too much, and there were lots of those times, you listened to me whine and cry, and you always seemed to know the right thing to say. You shared my frustrations and joys as the two of us tried to solve the problem of what on earth is happening to Israel and American Judaism. By the way, Stanley, little did you know that taking on the chairmanship of the Security Committee would become a full-time job with Neil Friedman, including writing grant applications. Lila, I am sorry to tell you this. You may get random text messages from Stan with questions about security for upcoming events. Please understand, he's just used to turning around looking at me for the answers. But now he'll have to get his information from you. I'm just joking. Or am I? You only thought you had an office at the synagogue. Yeah. To everyone here, and I am like looking around, and as I came in, I thought, wow, if I thought that my leaving would bring all of you back into the building, into these wonderful events, I would have retired long ago. Seriously, to everyone here, I will be staying in the community, supporting Cantor Sugarman as best as I can, and as she needs me. For those of you who get it, let's start scheduling an evening of wine and chocolate chip cookies. One chapter closes, a new one opens, and we join in this journey together. Thank you all.
Thank you, Cantor. For those of you who enjoyed those remarks, I'm going to invite you to join us on Tuesday evenings at the Bethel Town Hall for planning and zoning, because the Cantor will be there. So you've all been very patient, and you're likely hungry and are about to open up the buffet. But before we do that, there's a table in the back corner there. It's called the silent auction. I got to implore you to do me a personal favor. Go and bid on that stuff, because most of that stuff was residing in my family room for the last month and a half. And God forbid I got to take it home this evening. Go and take the silent auction items and save me. But just one quick personal note as we wrap up this portion of our program. Earlier, Leslie thanked our sponsors, which happened to be Dan Jowdy and my brothers, Michael and Jeffrey, who are here, and I guess she included me in there too, which just shows you that if you spend enough money on an event, you can get a gig for the evening. But I got this gig, not so much from that, but from my wife, Lisi, who many of you know, as who over these years has put up with me introducing her as my current wife, Lisi. But she's always put up with that. But I got to tell you that she and Judy and Leslie put their hearts and souls into this event this evening, and they've done a wonderful job. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank Lisi and acknowledge what all of you probably know, that she's my box of spare parts. Whatever I'm missing, Lisi has. And there's no question about that. And to quote John Cheeseman, the venerable retired headmaster of the Worcester School, I would be nothing without her, because that's what John would always say about his spouse. And I would say, I would just be another village idiot without her. So thank you, Lisi, for giving me this gig this evening. Go bid on the silent auction. Dinner is going to be served as a buffet, so start with table 1, and you go to the buffet, and the tables should go in sequential numerical order. It's kind of like playing golf. There are 18 holes. You go 1 through 18. The tables go the same way. Enjoy, and we'll be back in about 45 minutes. Thank you.